What's up, everybody? Welcome into another basement edition of the Madness. Jessica Town, Rob Lange. Wanted to be coming to you a little bit happier this week, Jess.
I was hoping.
Wanted to be wrong about the Eagles Saints. Obviously not. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the Eagles season and the end of one of the greatest runs in Philadelphia football history is now over.
Yep. Even though Rob said it was going to be over in November.
I wasn't wrong, though. It's over. I didn't repeat.
No, you said it was over in November.
Yeah, well, it was off for a couple months.
Details.
It's a detail we don't need to talk about. But we will get into all that here on the Madness this week, brought to you by ProSportsNotes.com, powered by Wildfire Radio. Last week, the audio did not work.
No, it didn't.
So we did not get the audio out on Wildfire, but we are out there on YouTube.
True.
So get over there, search the Madness with Rob Lange. I don't know why I said Madness that way. I've never said it that way in my life before.
I didn't notice anything different.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
You could have gotten away with it. I wouldn't.
Nah, somebody would have called me out on it.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been me.
No,
So
I'm stunned it wouldn't have been you. You call me out on everything.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
Oh, all right. So we have a good amount to talk about. It's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode. As you can tell, we're coming to you on a Friday with the recording. Schedules were a little crazy this week.
Rob's basketball schedule was over the top.
Big shout out to Rob's basketball schedule. 8 straight wins for the boys. We sit at
Proud
10-3. Sit at 10-3. Big win last night. It's been a nice little run here. We got 2 more games before the playoff cutoff.
Proud of you.
See that? We're just doing big things. But no, we're obviously.
Cutoff. Are you in playoffs?
Well, yeah, everybody makes the playoffs, but like the amount of power points you get in New Jersey, it's after the first 16 games.
Okay.
So then you have to play the rest of the season out for your conference and things like that.
Okay.
But we're at 13 games. We got about 3 games left. But did not expect to win 8 straight games. Did not expect to be sitting here this morning at 10-3. Big shout out to the guys. I know a lot of them listen. And we've had our first 1,000-point score in 14 years this year. So it's been
That's awesome. I did see some of your retweets on that.
Yeah, it was.
I did see that. That's awesome.
It's good stuff. So
love that.
Now we get to the professional ranks, and we'll talk a lot about the Eagles. Maybe if we have time, get into a little bit of how this brutal 12-game stretch and a great start for the Sixers to that last night. And when we get to This Is Madness, I think is when we'll talk about MLB free agency, because I have a bone to pick with Major League Baseball.
I have several bones to pick with a few different people, and then none of them have anything to do with Major League Baseball.
Oh, okay, well, I have a couple too. So we will definitely hit This Is Madness. But we start commiserating and talking out our feelings here.
Good word.
It's the English teacher in me. Every now and again I pop
Every
one out.
now and again
Every now and again I have a good moment.
Sometimes to the English teacher that doesn't know how to speak English. But,
oh, I'm sorry, I'm human.
That's neither here nor there.
I'm human. So, if you would have told me the Eagles were going to hold the New Orleans Saints at 20 points,
I would have told you they were going to win.
I would have told you they won the game. And we'd be preparing to go to L.A., and right now we'd be a couple days away.
I would be in L.A. getting away from the snow.
I actually sat there as I'm watching that game unfold last week, and I said, do I want to fly out to L.A. and be there?
We were sitting there, too, and we kind of looked at each other, and we were like, if they win this game, like...
Do we go?
Do we go?
Yeah.
Like, do we just... I did say, if they win and the game is in Dallas, I was going to go hands down. I was going to bite the bullet on that price tag, and I was just going to do it.
I would have been a little free.
I would have been a little more calm looking and, level-headed looking at the ones for LA. But I think we definitely talked about it and thought about it 100%.
It was a discussion with me and myself at the house. Don't know how Alyssa would have felt about it, but...
she wouldn't know.
No, probably would not have happened.
You would not have. I would have been sending you pictures from LA.
Really nice of you.
Am I wrong?
I mean, what we could have done is sold it as we're going to do a satellite show from the NFC Championship.
Would that have worked?
I could have tried.
I mean, I would have jumped on. I would have helped.
Yeah, sure.
But
you
I also would
have
faulted your
told me you wanted to throw it into my face.
No. I'm just saying.
We have family. They could have come and helped. It's a terrible comment. All right. Before I get myself in a lot of trouble.
You're so happy she's not here and can't hear you.
Yes, she's not here yet. She's got to pick up the children.
Oh, children. They're so cute.
No. They're devils.
They're adorable.
Oh, the adorable devils.
They can be devils, but they're still adorable. That's why they make them so cute.
Okay, I'll take your
so
word
you don't
for it.
kill them.
That's probably
They're adorable.
That's probably a very, very, very good point.
They're so cute.
We digress again.
Anyway.
Man, I wasn't irate. I wasn't angry. I wasn't upset. But I was disappointed just because of how that game started. But you saw the writing on the wall. For me, I know everyone says, oh, it was the interception. It was this. Yeah. All that happened. And looking back, that's where the game turned. For me, when the Saints started the second half, the Eagles go 3 and out, and the Saints go for 11 and a half minutes and score the go-ahead touchdown. That's when I knew this does not look good.
Yeah, the interception was not really that much of a game changer for me because it was the, weekly, oh, Nick, interception.
Bad pass.
Yeah, you see him throw it and you see it get intercepted and you're just like, that's unfortunate. Although, in that specific situation, I do put a little bit of the fault on
I know you do. I saw you out there doing it.
Well, okay. When you look at it, Marshawn Lattimore put his hands directly in front of Zach Ertz's hands. Zach Ertz being the kind of, I know he's a tight end, but being the kind of receiver that he is, at the caliber that he wants to be respected, you have to have a little bit better of awareness in that situation. Was the ball underthrown? Absolutely. Absolutely. But Zach Ertz had to, at least, even when he saw it in Marshawn Lattimore's hands, he tried to grab it as well instead of, you got to just try to knock that out of there. You have to have, I know it's easier said than done, but at the level of player that Zach Ertz is, I expect a little bit better from him in that kind of situation. Granted, he should not have been in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, his momentum was taking him the other way, and I think that's why maybe he doesn't get back to it.
He was right there. He stopped and jumped
up. There's a couple other issues with that play, as I have now seen on the All-22 film.
Okay.
Wendell Smallwood wide open for a first down.
Mm-hmm.
Wide open for a first down. And listen, it's over now. The season's over now, so I don't have to hold back on my talk here. But for everyone that wanted to jump on Wentz for every bad throw and every missed open guy, Nick Foles was downright not good last Sunday.
He did not play.
He was not good.
He was not
He
good.
missed receivers all over the field. He overthrew a bunch of guys. That back foot throw that seemed to be getting there for the 4-game stretch they were winning was not getting there because the fact is that's not a consistently successful throw. And look, they had opportunities in that game. They had more. I know that they didn't have the ball a lot, but after those first 2 drives, they went stagnant. It was the exact same thing we saw all season, even with Carson Wentz. So for the people that think letting Nick Foles go is a mistake, what you saw this year, not last year, because last year was a run like we've never seen. What you saw this year was the good and the bad in Nick Foles when you take all his starts from the 2 games in the beginning of the season to the 4 that he started at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. Okay? You saw that Nick is an inconsistent quarterback.
He is historically one of the streakiest quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. I love him.
NFL history. I love him, and I can never.
He'll be our hero forever.
I mean, he will be a legend in the city until the day that he dies.
Yes.
Whether he, moves on to somewhere else or decides to retire, or whatever he decides to do, anytime he's back in Philly, he will never pay for a meal or drink.
No.
Wherever he is, and that's just a fact. And just because Rob and I are on the same page with
for once.
Yeah. Are on the same page with the quarterback controversy that's been manufactured, it doesn't mean that we have anything against Nick Foles, and I think that's where the line gets blurred a little bit, is people just think that you can't love both for some reason.
Well, it's America.
Yeah,
it's just everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't.
As humans,
right.
We want to be very, very binary.
There are shades of gray, though.
Right. You want as people, we want a black or white, A or B, one option.
Mm-hmm.
But there are gray areas in this entire thing. Carson Wentz is the better quarterback for this team, and he is the better quarterback going forward. But that doesn't mean that we have anything against Nick Foles. It's just he's shown in his career that he's just not the guy.
Right.
He's not the guy here. And, I think people forget that, he didn't look like the guy last year either until Doug Peterson and the offensive staff stepped in and said, okay, what can we do to put him in the best situation to succeed? They changed around their entire offense the week of the NFC Championship game, made every single player who had been doing something different for the previous 20 weeks do something different with the Super Bowl on the line.
Yeah.
With the Super Bowl appearance on the line. That has nothing to do with Nick Foles. That has everything to do with Doug Peterson and the staff that he had around them last year to get them where they needed to go. Does Nick Foles deserve some credit for that and going out there and executing? Of course.
Absolutely.
But you have to keep in mind that it was not just Nick Foles stepping in and lights out from there.
Well, they won the Falcons game, but they won 15-10, and it was saved by a kick Keanu Neal ball. Okay, they beat
away.
Yeah, they beat Atlanta to begin the season, not because of Nick Foles. The defense was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
They go to Tampa and lose, and I know it was like, oh well, he didn't start catching them up until late in that game.
Yeah, and
okay. So
I mean, the run game was non-existent. The
No.
defense was abysmal, and they couldn't get anything
and listen,
going
look
offensively.
at the two playoff games. I know Chicago's a number one ranked defense. The offense wasn't anything,
No.
stellar. And I know he has the last drive, and that's great, but there's more to it. It's just everything that people have said to put Wentz down and build Foles up.
You have to be able to look at it from both sides.
Such as Wentz is injury prone. Nick Foles has never played 16 games.
Prone.
Wentz has actually played a 16-game season.
Concussions, collarbones,
Yeah, so I don't want to hear that.
elbow.
People forget in the preseason last year in the Super Bowl run, he didn't play a game
No,
because he was hurt.
because he was hurt. And people also forget that Nick Foles came in and played extremely well towards the end of a 4-12 season with Andy Reid in his final year, and they had an open quarterback battle to see who could win the starting job. And Nick Foles did not win the starting job over an aging Michael Vick.
Right.
Now, granted, that was Chip.
But he came in afterwards and he had the, 29-1 or 27-2 season, and it was incredible. It
was amazing. I distinctly remember. It was my freshman year of college, and I was sitting in a class with one of my friends. That it was a class. There were like 7 people in the class. It wasn't a big class. A guy who we became really good friends. We were talking about football, and it was the week leading up to when the Eagles played the Raiders.
Okay.
And that was when he threw 7 touchdowns in a game.
Oh, I remember.
And he was sitting there, and he was saying he was trying to figure out what defense he should play, and he had the Ravens defense and the Raiders defense, and he said to me, "Which defense should I play?" And I remember sitting there going, "Oh, play the Raiders. They've got some good guys over there. They're not going to be able to stop the Eagles. The Eagles' offense is not anything overly spectacular." And Nick Foles goes out there and throws 7 touchdown passes. I felt so bad. But not that bad.
No, you were probably happy.
I was excited.
Yeah.
Because he was a Ravens fan.
Right.
So I was excited. But that's my one random. But I mean.
Look, and I don't want to make this a Nick Foles bashing session.
It's not.
This is more a Nick Foles fans bashing session. The people that couldn't see clearly.
This is a Carson Wentz hater bashing session.
Okay, that's a better way to put it.
Because you can be a fan of Nick Foles and also a fan of Carson Wentz. It's the people who are all over Nick Foles and are trashing Carson Wentz like he wasn't the MVP, could have been the MVP of the league last
real
year.
Quickly.
That just goes out the window all of a sudden, and
that's
the problem. So Carson Wentz hater bashing session.
Yeah, and look, I know people are going to say, well, let's bring it back to the Saints game a little bit. I'm not putting all the blame on him, but I am putting the blame on the offense. The offense was not good. I don't think Doug called a good game.
I think
I don't
Doug's
think-
first 15 were excellent.
Yeah.
And I think after that,
Yeah, it was
it
the
got
opposite
very
of what
vanilla.
he'd been
Yeah,
for most
it's
of the
usually
season.
the first 15, it's like, oh God, are we done yet? And then the rest of the game, it's either good or it's bad. You never knew this year. But I
Right.
thought his first 15 were excellent. I think that was I was never a fan of it when Andy Reid did it. I had not been a fan of Doug doing it, but that was the first time that I was like, okay. And if we keep going like this, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, the game. It really, when you look back, the game took a turn on the 4th and 1 when they get the fake punt.
Absolutely, it was a fake punt. We were all sitting there going, Taysom Hill's right there. He's literally right there.
And I know that, and look, I've loved what Fletcher Cox has done this season. I love how he was out there being an absolute animal, even though he was hurt in
We
the
are
game.
not going to start. We're not going to do this. You are not going to sit here and tell me we're not going to do this.
All I'm going to say is it wouldn't have mattered whether he pushed the pile or not.
Okay.
But he didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
But he didn't.
I just want to make sure you weren't going to go into the whole.
No. I'm not going to go into that. I think people are making a bigger deal. However,
people just can't give the Saints credit for seeing something on film and taking advantage.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't blame. That's human nature. I mean, it's human nature for these guys to
I don't know what it is.
Prepare that way. Regardless.
Okay, I was just making sure we weren't going there because we
no. But there are a couple issues I have. Now we've talked about the offense and how they just weren't there and we'll get to Alshon Jeffrey. We can talk about that, and we will talk about that. Look, they gave up 20 points. The defense did their job. The defense did their job. Jim Schwartz had a great game plan. Here's my issue. Okay? And I have to say it. I have to do it. I have to say it.
What?
There has to be an adjustment when they are getting 3rd and 10s and 3rd and 12s and 3rd and 13s. For example, in no way, shape, or form, on a 3rd and 16, I don't care if you normally have defensive backs play the one side and not the other. A guy that no one even knew was on the roster, his name is Hawkins, should not be lined up in man-to-man coverage with Michael Thomas. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. And that's on Schwartz, that's on Corey Unlin, that's on the players in the field. No one should have allowed that to happen.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I will say that, I can get over it because they only gave up 20 points. I can deal with it. But looking back on it, because it's a loss, that's where the problems come in. And that's where it starts to be such a pain, is because, those things shouldn't happen. And when you look at some of the games that they lost this season, what are the first words that come to mind? 4th and 15, 4th and 10. Those are the ones that come to mind. And
as good as he was, that's a problem.
Listen, Jim Schwartz, I think he absolutely did, kind of have one of his best games of the year.
Oh, absolutely.
The way he handled it and
absolutely.
Someone has to talk to somebody about that turf down there, because something's not great. And the way that he is handled, Jim Schwartz deserves all the credit in the world for the way that he pulled that defense together down the stretch based on the number of guys that they lost and what they needed to be able to do to get that done against, think about some of the offenses they played down the stretch. The Rams, they played the Texans, which, their defense is good, but think about some of the weapons that they have on offense,
Oh, yeah.
Obviously the Redskins are nothing special, but...
You mean Josh Johnson's not a good quarterback?
No.
Oh, okay, I was just checking.
No.
What are you going to think when Nikki Sixx is in a Washington Redskins or New York Giants uniform next year? Well, we'll talk about when we get to the offseason. I think we have to get into the offseason today.
Oh, we'll get into the offseason a little bit today. But I just think that, and then playing the Saints and, the kinds of dynamic weapons that the Chicago Bears have. You look at Mitch Trubisky's stat line from last week, and, what was it? He had like 300 some yards, and his completion percentage was pretty decent. And, Jim Schwartz has done an amazing job getting that defense to gel and lock down the stretch. So, based on them having some issues with, with Drew Brees beating them,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to keep me up at night. That's not going to haunt me
No,
in my
it's not.
nightmares.
It's just something
But
that
it's
needs to
just
be
those
addressed.
things that you're just like.
It's just something that needs to be addressed. So many of those third downs they could have got off the field. On that
Agreed.
11-minute drive
Agreed.
specifically, there were
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 of them.
There were 3 or 4, and that's when I started to put my head in my hands.
You know, yeah, that's when you kind of got, and then you're like, and I remember right off of that drive, I looked, I said to Alyssa, I said, this drive's going to tell you all you need to know. And they went 3 and out or 5 and out or whatever it was, and it was just like, oh my God. But then, listen, I think I've said this on this show before. Sean Payton
is a jackass.
Has an ability to make really bad decisions in really crucial times.
Mm-hmm. I think you have said that. I think you're right.
Yeah, Michael Bennett makes a huge play and sets them up with it would be a 54-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Okay? Where the Eagles had not moved the ball since the first 2 drives of the game. You punt the ball, you pin them back, chances are there's no chance.
Mm-hmm.
He goes for the field goal. He goes for the field goal, he goes for the jugular, and Will Lutz misses terribly.
Okay, how did the Eagles manage to get 2 missed field goals?
Well, listen, when that happened,
if they would have won that game
I think I think everyone in this city, when that happened, looked and went, oh my God, they're going to do it again.
We all literally were like,
they're going to win again. I was my
me?
only thought was they are going to win this game. And then the offense, they're going right down the field. Bing, bang, bing. And then a play happens. They don't get much. I turn and kind of look at Alyssa. I go to help the girls with something because
you think the 2-minute warning is coming?
That there was like 2 seconds left and it was going to 2-minute warning. And as I'm talking to my daughter, I hear my wife go, oh no! And I'm like, what's there, a bad commercial? And I turn around, and Marshall Lattimore's running down the field. And it felt like all the air just got sucked out of me in that moment.
You know, I had the same kind of thing. We were adjusting the ottoman, or we were doing something.
It was the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, we were all like, okay, they're gonna let this run down the 2-minute warning, and we kind of stopped paying attention. And all of a sudden, we're all like, ah! And then we're like, oh my God, what just happened?
And I'm not here blaming Doug for doing that and Nick and that, but I just could have swore that was what was happening.
I don't fault.
I don't fault him because he had an open guy.
He had an open guy, and I don't fault Doug's logic either. He was like, you know what, we had the momentum. I didn't want to give them that. I thought we should get a little bit of extra before we gave we gave Sean Payton that time to think it over.
It's fun for us.
I support that.
It's fun for us all to sit here and say, well, if Alshon catches that, they win the game.
Yeah,
There's 2 things I want to say to that. 2. Number 1, still had to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, still had to score a touchdown. Number 2, as that drive was going on and I was getting excited, there was a little voice in the back of my mind going, Drew Brees is going to lead him down the field for a field goal. So, no, we don't know if they would win. It's fun to say that. It's fun to put it that way. You left this pillow bothering you?
It's just sliding both ways, and I don't want it to be like overly on top of
Everybody
you.
see it.
Like,
That's the madness. See that? You can buy this. Shop.prosportsnotes.com. You can even buy a pillow with Jess's face on it. Probably much better than this frickin' mug that's there right now.
That's not true.
Yeah.
You can also get fun things that say "Not my All-Star." As for some reason, Goran Dragic is getting All-Star votes again.
He's not getting anywhere near enough to get in.
Not.
Just
I will
relax.
lose my mind.
Just calm down.
I will lose my mind.
Oh my God!
Not
You really have to get over this guy.
No, I hate that.
No, I'm aware you hate this guy, but I mean, you let him. You're letting him run your life. It's kind of like Future talking about Sierra and Russell Wilson, which I'll have to get to later.
I will be getting into that.
You are the future of Goran Dragic. You just can't help but talk about the guy.
I just hate the guy.
Yeah, I'm aware.
I'm just happy Donovan Mitchell's not in there at all.
But as far as Alshon Jeffrey, does he have to catch the ball? Absolutely, 100%. Yes, he does. Has to catch the ball. He had 2 drops prior to that all season. 99 times out of 100, he's going to catch that ball. He didn't. And, looking back, it's a microcosm of how this season went. A lot of what-ifs, a lot of shouldas, a lot of couldas.
A lot of just
and the season,
the one time that something is going to
Yeah.
go wrong.
and the season ends on a play like that. You know, a season ends on a play like that, and sometimes you got to tip your cap. Look, the Saints in the second half had a great game plan. Keep the Eagles
did.
off the field.
They did.
And their defense came alive, and you know Drew Brees was Drew Brees.
I can't be upset getting beaten by Drew Brees.
No.
By him just just picking us apart like I can't. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, and you just as much as I think he's on a team with several other jackasses, you just can't.
Yeah, we have to talk about that.
You can't dislike Drew Brees. I think it's impossible.
I don't know. People dislike him.
I don't know how.
I don't dislike him. I like him.
I do too. I can't be mad. I'll be mad.
And,
I mean, like that's the thing. Like
I'll be honest with you. I'm pulling for this. I know. I'm going against every Eagles fan in the world because according to Eagles fans, the Saints are a-holes. They don't deserve it. No, they do deserve it. They've been the best team all year.
They have played extremely well. I just don't like certain people on the team, but I can't.
Yeah, you don't like Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. And guess what? I want Mark Ingram here next year.
I don't like Alvin Kamara. I don't like Sean Payton at all. I think he's the king of the jackasses. But you can't dislike Drew Brees, and I would not. The Eagles fan in me would be hurt if they went on to win the Super Bowl, but just the
See, I'm different that way.
The football fan in general, I wouldn't hate to see Drew Brees win another one.
I've grown in that way because I used to think that way, but now I want the team who beats us
to go on and win.
That's
fair.
Because then I almost feel validated. Because let's face it, the only competitive game on divisional weekend was the Eagles game.
Yeah,
it's the only competitive game. And
the
that
we're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Man, wow!
I told you Phillip Rivers couldn't do it.
Wow, I don't even know what to say of what happened there, other than it makes it really easy for me to make my picks this week. But we'll get to that towards the end. But I want to spend some time in Eagles off season. But before we get to that, obviously, and I know in a state of anger right after the game, I might have even made comments about it. There was a lot of people having to say stuff about the Raiders celebration. Or Raiders. Where does that even come from?
Where is your mind even at right now? The Raiders could not be more irrelevant to these playoffs.
You're correct. Saints. The Saints celebration in the locker room, the strobe lights, playing, dreams and nightmares, Kamara and Ingram wearing ski masks. And I will just say this. And initially, the singing never bothered me. The ski masks did. But I've talked to people, and they really made me see the writing on the wall. Two things. One, them singing dreams and nightmares, they can. They knocked off the champs. All right? And they had to earn that victory. It's not like there was 48-7.
Yeah.
They had to earn that victory. And all they did was the same thing the Eagles did in Chicago's locker room the week before, except they turned off the lights. And people threw Secondly, we love the underdog masks. We love the ski masks. But last year, if the Eagles would have lost to any of those teams, they would have had every right to wear those dog masks that's today's sport. You don't have to win humbly at that point. You don't. And we have been as cocky as anybody else. Last year, with all the dancing and the electric slides and all, we were a cocky team. We loved it. You can't now be hypocritical and hate it. That's one of my biggest issues with one of your favorite people, Cam Newton. Cam Newton loves a dance streak, but then when things don't go his way, he becomes a jackass. Can't do it,
He's
Philly.
always a jackass.
Can't do it, Philly.
He's always a jackass.
Philadelphia, you can't do it. You need to be better than this. They beat us. They beat us good. They deserve to talk all the trash they want to. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
I know. I want to hear your point because I know you disagree with me. There's no doubt that you, of all people, disagree with me.
I just think, get your own thing.
They danced in the locker room.
Like,
the Eagles danced in their locker room.
Do your own thing. I feel like, to me, It's just okay. So well, here's my first question: is the whatever song that they were doing in Chicago, was that like the Bears song?
Apparently.
I didn't know if it was the Bears song or if it was just because she's from Chicago.
I don't know. Apparently.
So that's a question. Someone please give me the answer to, because I genuinely don't know. Because I do kind of feel like, it's kind of a get your own thing, and you should be more worried about yourself winning than mocking the team you beat.
Well, then the Eagles should not have been wearing dog masks. They should have been just, hey, we won the game.
What do you mean? But that was still our thing.
LeGarrette Blount walking up the field against the Falcons. They said it was going to be a bye week. Bye-bye. You're worrying about the other team when you do that. I'm just trying to...
But I'm saying, but all of this and the posting on social media and all of that stuff, my point is the dog masks that was our thing. Mm-hmm. It was an original thing that the Eagles came up with themselves. It had nothing to do with any other team. It had everything to do with the disrespect they felt that they were getting.
Right.
My point is, play a song of a rapper from your city, do your own thing, and worry less about... It draws back to, remember when Michael Phelps lost in the Olympics to the guy from, where was it, South Africa?
I guess, I don't remember.
And then the next Olympics came around and Michael Phelps wanted to regain the gold medal title. Mm-hmm. And there's an image of Michael Phelps I think, what was it, the 100 fly, I think, that he holds the record in. So he was going down, and it's an image of Michael Phelps up out of the water doing the butterfly, and I don't remember what the guy's name was, but he was next to him, and as he's doing his stroke, he's looking at Michael Phelps. He was more worried about Michael Phelps than winning his own race, and that is my point.
That's in race, that's in game, that's in...
But that's my point. I just feel like they're more worried about... They were more worried about the Eagles than they are about themselves. They're more worried about rubbing it in the Eagles' faces than they are about celebrating with themselves.
But the Eagles rubbed everything in everybody's face last year, and we never said a thing.
But they didn't do things like that, did they? But here's the thing.
You beat the Chicago Bears by 30, and you're doing an electric slide on the field after a turnover. That's rubbing in your face. It is, and that's okay.
But that's a different... I don't mind that. I don't mind the touchdown celebrations. I don't mind the take a picture in the end zone things. That doesn't bother me at all. This is at the end of the game when you should be celebrating with your teammates, and you're more worried about the team you just beat than just the fact that you're moving on to the championship.
We're
just looking at it differently.
But put it this way: if the Eagles win that game, and there's a big New Orleans rapper, I don't know.
It's Lil Wayne.
Okay? Lil Wayne. Okay? And they go in there with the ski masks on and their strobe lights and their Lil Wayne and they're blasting it. Are you sitting here today saying they shouldn't be worrying about the Saints?
Yes.
I don't think you are.
Because I truthfully, I didn't like when they did it in Chicago. Truthfully, I didn't.
See, none of that bothers me.
I just think that you're just asking for it at that point. And I just feel like that's not how you should act. And that's why the dog masks and the dreams and nightmares of last year, it's their Philly guy. It's
the rumor has it they took the ski masks from the Saints.
I need someone help. Does someone have a history on the ski masks?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I truly don't know.
I just heard that. I don't know.
I just heard
that. Is it true? Who knows?
Which is why if they did,
then we have a bone to pick with. That's my point. But hey, what are you gonna do?
So all right. So listen. The season was a hell of a lot more enjoyable than I think we ever would have expected it to be. They came within.
Than you expected it to be.
This girl over here is acting like back in November she thought this team was going to go on a magical run with Nick Foles to the divisional championship.
No.
Get divisional round game.
No. I just wasn't going to sit there and say in November that the season was over.
There's a difference between not saying it's over and expecting it to go where it did. You didn't expect it to go where it did.
I expected them to end up in the playoffs.
You didn't expect it to go where it did.
I expected them to end up in the playoffs.
But that's not where they went further. They won a game in the playoffs.
Okay, that's fine. I expected a hell of a lot more than you did.
Yes, you did.
Okay, that's my only point.
Most people, outside of the unbelievably intelligent and well-known, all-knowing...
Optimistic. It's optimistic.
Jessica
it's
Town.
optimistic.
It's nonsense.
Oh my God, is Brian Westbrook going in right now on Charles Barkley? Because it looks like he is.
He might be because Barkley went hard at the Sixers last night.
Yeah, I know. And how'd
From
that
the
go?
dumbest organization
How'd
in the
that go,
world.
Charles?
I like Charles. I'm not ripping Charles.
I'll rip Charles for that sentence.
I like to try and get Charles on the show. Never. It will never happen.
He's
But
on with Mikey Miss right now. See if we can get him.
but we've had Mikey Miss
But
on.
it looks like Brian Westbrook's going in on him right now, and I'm gonna have to listen to a replay.
Yeah, we'll have to listen to a replay of that. But we have to put this season to bed. You know, unfortunately, the Eagles will not be playing this weekend. They will not be playing in Atlanta. The next time we see them on the field will be in training camp and then, you know, the August preseason games. And that's the part that always sucks the most about this. And it's a good thing that we weren't used to feeling this way for the last 2 years. It was a really weird
I
feeling.
forgot about this feeling.
It was a weird feeling waking up Monday morning. It really was like, ugh.
It's a weird feeling thinking about
knowing
what
it's
I'm gonna,
over without a win.
It's a weird feeling thinking about what I'm going to do this weekend to watch games that have no impact on my life.
Well, yeah, I tell you how you make them have an impact on you.
No, I'm not going to bet on the games, Rob.
I mean, that's.
I'm gonna make food.
I'm 1 out of my last 18 bets.
Great.
That does not bode well for the account.
No.
Not at all.
No, I'm gonna make soup.
I'm gonna sit down.
I make a fantastic chicken enchilada soup in the crock pot.
Oh, that's nice. Maybe you could bring that to the show one time.
I could do that.
Oh, okay. Now I'm going to sit there. I'm going to watch the games. I'm going to be fully invested. Right now, I don't want to, toot my own horn here, but my preseason Super Bowl prediction is still alive. I'm a smart man. My preseason prediction. Go back.
The Chargers in the Super Bowl.
Nope, not in the preseason. I picked the Chargers to win last week, and I said I'm going against my preseason prediction for this game. However, my preseason prediction still right there. And
Saints and
New England. I had New England beating the Chargers in the AFC Championship game, but that did not happen. It happened in the divisional round game by a lot.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
But to put a tie on this, and listen, the madness is obviously we are a football-centric show. We talk everything else, and we will still continue to. And we'll be talking about the Eagles all season.
The whole time.
The whole time. But I think it's a good little activity to talk about this off season and what we expect to see, what we want to see, because there's going to be a lot of changes to this roster. People don't want to hear it, but you're not going to have Brandon Graham back next year.
No.
Graham's
not going to be
Jordan
here.
Hicks is not going to be back next year.
I think Jordan Hicks has a better chance of being back here than.
Well, yeah, he does, but I'll get into that. Jason Peters, probably not. You don't know how bad Brandon Brooks is going to be hurt when he'll be able to get back. You might see Darren Sproles leave. He's not signed for next year.
If he wants to come back, the Eagles will let him come back.
And there's the question, should they let him come back? I don't know. He took up a roster spot for 11 weeks and didn't play.
Doug Peterson wants him to come back. So if he wants to come back,
I'm sure
they will let him come back.
I'm just saying. There are a lot of things, but so I've made up a little bit of a list that I'd like to see. Some things. Now you can't read it.
I'm so blind. I can't see that.
All right. And these are in no particular order, except the first one I read is a particular order. This is the only thing I want this offseason.
Le'Veon Bell?
Doesn't have to be Le'Veon, but I am tired of running back by committee.
I'm tired of relying on Wendell Smallwood.
I want a bell cow back with a change of pace back on third downs. But I want a bell cow who can run the ball in between the tackles, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. So it sounds a lot like Le'Veon Bell. All these people who want to continue, and this is actually something I wanted to talk about anyway. Right now, everybody on social media is blaming Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown for what happened in Pittsburgh. No one blames the rapist. No one blames him. No one blames Ben Roethlisberger. No one blames the fact that Mike Tomlin seems to just let Roethlisberger run the asylum. I want Le'Veon, I do. And
I agree.
And I love the people out there saying, no, I don't want Le'Veon, I want Kareem Hunt.
Huh?
Now,
Question marks?
If
I will say, we'd be able to get Kareem Hunt for a hell of a lot cheaper price than Le'Veon
I don't
Bell.
know, Nagy's all about it already.
Of course he is.
But
I don't blame him.
no,
From
and
a football
look,
perspective, I
if
don't
they're
blame him.
listen, if you know, things will get settled there, and if it comes out and whatever happens, and he gets suspended, or you know, people will look into signing. He will play in this league again. It will once again be a sign that Ray Rice didn't not play in this league because he hit a woman. Ray Rice didn't play in this league because he lost everything and he wasn't a good running back anymore.
And he knocked out his wife.
Right, but this guy kicked a woman and probably will have a job again.
Yeah.
It wasn't as. I don't want to say it's not as bad because I don't want to start like
we talked about this before.
making levels.
If the things that it said that she said are true, and the way if the stories that we're reading are true, that she is 19 years old, was in a bar, he found out she was 19, asked her to leave, she wouldn't leave. It was a white woman. She used racial slurs at him. Now, that does not give him the okay to do what he did. What he did was absolutely wrong, and he was wrong. The way that I heard about the video and then saw the video, what I heard was infinitely worse than what the video
Than it actually was.
She continued to keep going at him. He continued to keep going at her. It was a horrible situation from start to finish.
Thank God his friends were there.
Anyone saying that
anyone
saying that he needs friends to hold him back better, well, that's literally what he does for a living.
Yes.
So you're an idiot.
Yeah.
It was just a bad situation from start to finish. If Kareem Hunt's going to lose his job permanently, she should also lose her job permanently for the way that she acted, because she was coming at him and swinging at him as well. It's not okay from either sense. But that's not going to happen to her. So, I don't know what the correct solution is to the problem, but they are both in the wrong. You should never lay a hand on anybody. Let's just put it out. Man, woman, it doesn't matter.
I agree.
You just shouldn't. And, Kareem Hunt should have, he has to understand that he is in the spotlight a little bit more. But at the end of the day, that doesn't excuse her.
I think I would be willing to, like if the Eagles wanted to sign him, I feel like I'd be okay with it.
I think.
Maybe, possibly.
I think eventually people would come to terms
with
it.
Is it a Mike Vick situation?
As they did with Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, if nothing happens to him and he just gets a pass,
oh no, he'll get there's a suspension.
That's when I have a problem, and I think
there's
more people will have.
Coming.
There has to be a suspension of some
kind. My guess is going to be 6 games. It's going to be something legitimate.
There has to be some sort of repercussion. He can't just have been cut by a team and be immediately allowed on another one and just given this fresh start. I don't think that's acceptable. I don't think he deserves that, personally. There has to be some sort of repercussion. Like, I truly believe that, Michael Vick did his time, served his punishment, came out, and he deserved a second chance. He paid his dues, and he is, he's another guy that Philly loves him. And I hated him when he was at Atlanta. But
he showed remorse, and he did things, and he still does things.
He
you know what I mean?
worked hard to change that perception. I think what Kareem Hunt did was worse, and the situation itself is worse. Worse. I love puppies, but you know what I mean. There has to be some sort of
it's got to be a punishment. But we're
both
on board.
We can
yes,
not
but we're both on.
Yes,
but we're both on board. They need a legitimate.
Oh, absolutely.
And if they're not going to go for a bigger name like that,
they need to draft one.
Or no, I see. I'm not drafting one. I'm not. It's not enough for me.
Not enough. Okay.
I would call Chicago and say, hey, if you're all about signing Kareem Hunt, what do you want for Jordan Howard? I would love Jordan Howard. I think Jordan Howard would be a perfect back here.
Jordan Howard would be great.
Especially if you have your change of pace back. Okay, so that's the one thing I want.
And it's also, we're also going to have to kind of see what we do. And keeping Darren Sproles is also, I think, might depend a little bit on how quickly Corey Clements.
Well, if you do,
because we still don't know what his injury
obviously Josh
was.
Adams is probably not going to continue here because he fell out of favor real fast.
Yeah,
he didn't even touch the field in the playoffs.
I would love to get some specifics on Corey Clements' injury.
I would too. I would love to get him on. Guy literally lives 20 minutes from me, and I can't even get him there. Yeah, he's fine. Maybe you could try. Or
I have
you?
some connections I'll work on.
How do you have a connection with Corey Clement?
I have no way.
I don't. Are you going to go to Shelton Gibson?
No,
you
I'm not going to go to
Gibson. You cannot. That's not right. Now, leave this
that's
guy
not
alone.
what I was going to do.
Leave the poor damn man alone. He
He's
shot his
literally-
shot. Yeah, he got rejected. Leave him alone.
He's not the only one.
There's other players. What are you going to Farzetta?
No.
All right. We'll talk later then.
We'll talk.
Okay. Next thing I want a new middle linebacker. I want a middle linebacker that I know can stay on the field and that I can know will make plays. I don't know who's out there. I haven't looked at a free agent list yet.
I haven't looked at a full free agent list.
But I want a middle linebacker. I think it's very important for this team, with the front four the way they are, to have Nigel Bradham and another linebacker back there who can make plays.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Jordan Hicks.
Yeah.
Why don't you want him back next year?
Honestly, because I don't think he's down the field.
If you're okay with Carson Wentz fighting the injury-prone title, why aren't you okay with Jordan Hicks?
Because the quarterback.
This is a genuine question. I want you to hear.
Yeah. No. Because to me, I believe Carson Wentz is not injury-prone because I've watched the injuries he's had. This guy, it's a hamstring here, a back here, a quad here. You know, Carson Wentz had a torn ACL and then a stress fracture in his back because he was putting stress on his back due to his recovery, in my opinion.
So, Jordan Hicks tore his pec.
Mm-hmm.
He ruptured his Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
In between those 2 years, he played 16 games in 2016. And this year, he missed 4 games with a calf injury.
But
why aren't you okay with
Because when he was on the field, I didn't see the same Jordan Hicks.
He had his highest number of sacks this season and his highest number of tackles this season. He played
the guy,
second least amount of games he's ever played.
There's just something about the linebacker. I want ferocious.
I agree.
My linebackers.
But I would be more willing to keep Jordan.
I'm not listen. If you get him back here on a cheap deal,
you can't give him ridiculous amount of money. But here's the thing: I don't think there are many other places that would give him that ridiculous amount of money based on.
Not right now.
Exactly. So I'm saying that if they can get him on a decent deal,
I'll give it to you. Sold me. It's the first time.
So that's something that I sold myself on. I was writing my article yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever it was, and I was going through everything, and as I'm typing and talking about Jordan Hicks and looking through his stats, I started on one side, and then as I was looking at it, I ended up on the other side of the argument as I finished my paragraphs. Because the more I looked at it, the more I was like, okay, he has played a whole season. He's had his best stats this year. I don't see, and if we're gonna give Carson Wentz that shot, and we're all gonna defend him.
You mortgaged your future for Carson Wentz. You have to give yourself that shot.
Sure.
Jordan Hicks was a third-round pick who was injured his rookie year, played his second year, and has now been injured the last 2 years since then. So there's also 4 years there, where with Wentz, yes, it's been 3 years, but one was a torn ACL, which look, that happens all the time to these guys. And I'm telling you, I put the fracture in the back on that torn ACL. I don't put Hicks injuries on like, oh, the quad injury came because of the Achilles, or you know what I mean. That's the difference I play there. The quarterback, you've mortgaged, you owe it to yourself as a franchise that you got to see this through.
Sure.
Jordan Hicks, maybe not. And it depends on the money. I'm just worried about them giving him too much money.
Because here's what I think. I think when you look at the list of free agents and you look at who can stay and who can go. As we kind of went into this, and after Darby got injured, I kind of thought, okay, let's keep him. They could keep him for a year on a prove-it deal. Well, then you saw, how deep our list of DBs could be.
I want Darby on a prove-it deal, and I'll explain in a minute. But go ahead, say what you're going to say.
I just don't think we need it, and I think that money can be allocated other places. I just think that. I wouldn't be against it, but I'm just saying that based on, what we saw, I mean, Jalen Mills is still going to be here, obviously, because he's still on his rookie deal. He's cheap. Cravon LeBlanc has showed that he can maybe not be a
You have
starter,
to sign him.
but he has to stay here. Who am I missing? Sidney Jones. I'm not ready to give up on the kid yet, but the only way he's going to get better is if he gets those reps. He needs those reps in there. Avonte Maddox deserves a starting spot, and Rasul Douglas deserves to be in that starting rotation as well. And
So how many corners is that you just had?
Rasul, Avonte, Sidney, Jalen, Cravon.
Okay.
5.
In my opinion, you need 5. In my opinion, you need 5 corners because you got 4 corners for your dime package. I have said this, and I will continue to say it until it happens. I want Rasul Douglas on this team. I don't want him as a corner.
No, I want him as a safety.
So, if he becomes a safety and you still want your 5 corners, there's a, hey, Ronald, you got hurt. Come back to us on a 1 year. Play. We have a good rotation. We have depth at the position. You don't need a Corey Graham around anymore.
No, he's retiring.
You know what I mean? You don't need these other guys that just fill places. When somebody gets hurt, Hawkins isn't coming in.
No.
Okay? That's why, to me, your secondary, you need a plethora of guys back there. So I wouldn't be against it. I would actually like to see them try and get it done. Now, if someone's going to go offer Darby a multi-year deal, let them go. You know,
yeah,
it's
not going to make or
worth
break
it.
us.
One of the other things I want. This is going to be very unpopular. It's going to be very, very unpopular.
No, I support that.
I know you do, but you're not going to support. This is a two-way thing.
Oh.
I know that most people look at the trade for Golden Tate and say it was terrible, it didn't work, it was,
Most people are
he couldn't get involved, blah 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 blah. And to some extent, it wasn't what we had hoped. But I would love to have a year of Golden Tate with training camp, with all-season workouts, with getting to know Carson. I would love to re-sign him. Now, to do that, somebody's got to go. Because you're not going to be able to give decent money to these guys. And you're going to have to give something to Golden Tate because he's been in the league. You're not going to get him on a veteran minimum deal or anything like that.
You might.
I don't think you could. Because there's too many teams needy of a possession receiver. So what does that mean? No, it does not mean get rid of Alshon Jeffrey. Okay? It does not mean get rid of Alshon Jeffrey. You have your Goddard and your Zach Ertz. Your boy ain't coming back, Jordan Matthews. I'm sorry, I can't imagine that they re-sign Jordan. Eventually, Mac Hollins will come out of witness protection and maybe be on this team. I don't know. But if you have to make a decision between Golden Tate and Nelson Aguilar, and I know it's not the popular one, I know it's not going to be considered the smart one because of age and all this other stuff, but I have seen nothing but inconsistency from Nelson Aguilar. And therefore, I'd be more willing to roll the dice on giving Tate a 2-year deal and letting Aguilar walk. I said it. No one agrees, and that's okay. It's okay, but that's what I'm doing.
No, I don't agree with that.
You're letting Tate walk.
No, I'm keeping them both.
How can you keep both? You just talked about we have to be very smart with allocating money this year.
Okay, well, so here's what I'll tell you.
She opened up her article on
I did.
postcoachnotes.com. Go over there and check it out. See, I plug your stuff all the time. You should really appreciate me.
I do appreciate you a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Get the hell out of here.
I do.
Let's go.
Okay, here is my list. Golden Tate stays. Chance Warmack goes. Mike Wallace goes. Darren Sproles either stays or retires. I have Richard Rodgers staying because no one else is going to pay him any sort of money. So if they just
He's going to retire.
If they just get, he's not that old.
I feel like he is.
If they just give him a little bit of money to just stay here in that third tight end role,
I feel like he's 50 years old.
He's not.
Okay.
Jay Ajayi goes, Rick Lovato stays, Nate Sudfeld, he's a restricted free agent, so he's going to stay. No one's going to match his deal. He's going to stay here. Jake Elliott, they have the exclusive rights. They'll get him a contract and he'll stay. Brandon Graham's going to go. Haloti Ngato's going to retire. Chris Maragos is going to retire. Corey Graham's going to retire. Chris Long's going to retire. Ronald Darby's going to go. Paul Warrior's going to go. LeRoy Reynolds is going to go. Jordan Hicks is going to stay. And DJ Alexander is going to go. Based on that, and also probably getting rid of a guy like a Jason Peters, they'll have enough to. Now, this all depends on a few things. Depends on how serious Golden Tate was about what he said in his exit interview,
Which was.
the last time I did this, it was about the contract, it was about the money.
He just wants to win.
At this point, I just want the best chance for a championship.
Which means he'll be a Patriot. Seriously, if you're a guy, right, and you say that, don't you think your best chance is to go to the team who's been to 8 straight conference championships? That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous.
But that's also assuming that they want him.
This would be the 4th straight Super Bowl with the Patriots if they get in, or is it just a 3rd? Who was in before them in the Falcons?
They were not in it.
Was that the year that Peyton Manning won with the Broncos over the Panthers?
Yeah, because it was the year that Brock Osweiler beat Tom Brady. Because I was in Scotland studying abroad when that game happened. I remember sitting there, and I was on the trip with a bunch of Patriots fans.
How am I just hearing you studied abroad?
It was only a month. I wasn't away for very long. It was my winter session.
You were in Scotland, huh?
Yeah, I was in Scotland. It was pretty cool.
World traveler, Jessica Town.
But I was there when those playoffs were happening. Because I was sitting there. I was sitting in Scotland when Doug Peterson got hired. And I remember sitting in my hotel room with a bunch of Patriots fans just wanting Brock Osweiler to go win that game.
By the way, speaking of today is it today?
Yes, and my article should be coming out later.
3 year out of 3 years to the day they signed Doug Peterson. The last week and a half on Time Hop.
Yeah.
I hate this time of year.
Pause. It's only going to take me an hour to get to the dance studio from here in Middletown, Delaware.
Oh yeah, Delaware. You're not far from Delaware.
I was starting to panic.
No, you go to the 295 is right around the corner.
That's fantastic because I have to be there by 7:15.
You're 10 miles from the Delaware Memorial Bridge.
Fantastic. Okay, continue. Yes. Yes, Time Hop has been killing me.
Time Hop makes
Time
me.
Hop has been like
every year now.
I almost drove off
every year
the bridge
for
on the
3
way
years.
here.
It makes me feel like the biggest dumbass.
Why? Because
there is.
Crap all over
Because I was tweeting at every reporter in the city, and I would just end every tweet with, "Just say no to Peterson. This is a terrible move. He is an idiot. He's never caught a play. He's Andy Reid's lackey. Why does Andy Reid have any say here? He's not here anymore." The things that I've said, I wonder what I have had up there. I got to pull it up.
That's fantastic.
To put it up here. I've never, and you know me, I don't like to insult myself because I'm a genius. But this is one of those moments where I do not feel like a genius. I want to see if I have anything from today. Let me see.
So I got an article together this morning just kind of talking about Doug and his 3 years here. It should be coming out later today. Check it out, prosportsnotes.com. But part of it is, I didn't really, obviously I knew I wanted Chip Kelly fired. And once he was gone, I didn't really have an opinion on...
I literally had a hashtag that I put out every day.
That's amazing.
Saying anybody but Peterson.
I didn't really have an opinion of who I wanted as a head coach. Honestly, my dad and I, the only person that was...
I had one.
Tom Coughlin.
No.
The only person that my dad and I actually talked about, not hating coming in here was actually Jim Schwartz. Because we wanted a defensive coach.
So did I. And I only had one guy in mind. And it was the only guy I wanted them to interview. I wanted Sean McDermott in the worst way here. That was my guy. Which shows you...
How do you feel about that now, Rob?
The same way I felt about wanting nothing more than Gus Bradley all the way when they hired Chip Kelly. I have made nothing but wrong picks when it comes to coaches, so now I just sit back and let people coach. Oh, you hear the footsteps? That's probably going to be too... Oh, no, she might have to go get them now.
Yeah, I don't hear little footsteps.
No, and you would hear them because it sounds like little, mice running across the floor.
I just think, so I didn't really have an opinion. I didn't really know who I wanted them to hire. I just, let's just all remember, as a collective unit of a fan base,
we did not want Doug.
We wanted Adam Gase, and then we wanted Ben McAdoo, and we did not want Doug Peterson. And
I literally, I said, I'll take Gase, I'll take Coughlin, I'll take... I wanted the guy who ended up signing with the Browns who got fired. What's his name? who just now.
Greg Williams.
No, the head coach of that was the head coach from Cincinnati.
Hugh Jackson.
I wanted everybody but Doug.
I just
everybody.
remember being in Scotland, calling my dad, and just saying, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm just gonna let it right out because at the end of the day, it can't be worse than Chip Kelly.
I might even say that I wanted Pat Shermer over Doug Peterson.
How'd that go?
I'm telling you right now, like, I feel so stupid looking back.
But you know what?
At time.
Wouldn't you rather feel as stupid as you do with a Super Bowl ring?
Yep, I'm looking at my Super Bowl ring right over there.
Exactly.
I didn't get a real one.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't pay the $11,000 for the real
No,
one?
I thought about it and then said, oh, I want to remain married and have children and stuff like that.
And alive.
And
we wanted to remain alive.
Yes, that too. All right, so what do we got here? We got probably, I think, another 15, 20 minutes or so. We have company coming to the house.
That sounds good. Let's talk Sixers.
You want to just push it, huh?
I want to just talk about
We
this.
can't talk about Eagles are done. Listen, we will be back.
I
with
love the
Eagles.
Eagles. Cowboys lost.
Oh, let's make our
Dallas
picks.
sucks.
Who's your Super Bowl?
The Chiefs and the Saints. I want the Rams to win. I don't think the Rams are going to win.
Yeah, Saints, Patriots. This is time for Andy Reid. Oh, I can't get past the big one. I hope he does. Want to be mad at him?
No, I'm pulling for Andy Reid from here on out.
I would pull for him, but the fact that I'm going to throw money on the Patriots means I'll be pulling for the Patriots.
That's fine, but
Okay.
I just can't live with myself if I ever sit and root for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. So I would love for Andy Reid to get one. I like Pat Mahomes. Why not? Go get yours, Big Red.
What's the matter with me? I don't really like Pat Mahomes. He's a very good quarterback.
Is his Kermit voice?
I don't know.
Does that bother you?
No, there's something about him. I don't know.
He's kind of a dork.
Maybe because he came in and has had one season, and all of a sudden everyone has anointed him the next coming, and Carson Wentz is nothing anymore because of injuries. I'm a hater.
Maybe that's it.
Okay.
But he is good, and
all right.
Yeah, you want to see it for Andy.
All right. No, I don't, but that's okay. I don't.
Oh, you're one of those.
No.
I want to talk about this.
No. I'm not one of those. I don't care if he wins one or not.
Oh, okay.
Now, I was one of those till the Eagles won.
That's fine.
Then I became
we would be
then I
having
became I don't care.
We would be having a different conversation if the Eagles did not have a Super Bowl title.
His former player Trey Thomas said he don't want to see him win.
Yeah.
Or not Trey.
No, it was
Hollis
Hollis.
Thomas ripped him. So
Yeah.
he don't want to see him win a damn thing.
Trey is all about it.
Yeah.
So is Ike Reese.
Hollis was mad on his way out the door though here.
Yeah.
He got mad at Andy Reid and that whole organization. All right. Sixers right now started one of the most brutal 12-game stretches I think I've ever seen in the NBA.
Yeah, it's bad.
When you talk about they were on the road against Indiana and beat the hell out of them last night.
I got it. They played Indiana last night in Indiana. They play the Thunder at home, then the Rockets at home.
Then the Spurs at home.
Then the Spurs at home. Then they go out west. They play the Lakers, Nuggets,
Warriors.
Kings, Warriors. Then they come back home. They play the Lakers again. They play the Raptors. They play the Celtics. They play the Nuggets again.
So that's their next 12.
And then they play the Knicks, and then it's the All-Star.
That's the next 12. Off to a great start last night.
Yep.
Love seeing Jimmy assert himself. Love seeing the ISOs being called. It seems like slowly but surely they're all finding their way on this floor.
I will say, I was there Tuesday night. I was at that game. And that was something that I had been looking to see, was them get out to that lead and then stick with the lead.
They did that last night too, which was impressive.
They did, exactly.
On the road.
These last two games, you're really starting to see that chemistry with Jimmy Butler work out, and you're starting to see it fit in where, Joe and I were talking about this yesterday. They have what they do. They move the ball well, and they do their thing, and they try with J.J. Redick, and they do that. And if they don't have it, when the shot clock's winding down, they get it to Jimmy, and they let Jimmy do his thing.
Yeah.
So it's starting to work out. You're starting to see it. You're starting to see the chemistry develop a little bit more.
Guys are accepting.
You're starting to see the chemistry a little bit more because they're projecting it a little bit more. You're seeing the stuff on social media with Joel Embiid posting the
Minnesota thing.
The picture about and saying, it was nice to play with the third stringers and get a win against real NBA starters. That was fantastic. You're really starting to see it all click. Even on top of things, just little things like, Jimmy Butler started posting those Instagram stories where he's in the locker room and he's with the guys and they're joking around and laughing, and instead of just, doing his workouts and this, that, and the other thing, whatever he posted, you're starting to see it. You're starting to see the camaraderie develop, and I think the biggest part of this for me is not only is this stretch important. Hi, Nick. Not only is this stretch important for them from a gives them good momentum going into the All-Star break, standings in the playoffs, that sort of perspective. To me, it sort of make or breaks this Jimmy Butler trade and if they're going to be able to re-sign him or not and kind of how this goes. I think the way that this team continues to work and develop, I think that's a huge part of it going into the end.
Well, it's funny. I think losing for all those years really made us not understand an NBA season and what goes into an NBA season. The last Friday, I almost had to walk away from the Sixers for a week because I was so irate after they lost to the Hawks. And
that was disgusting.
But then I'm watching last night, and I flipped it on the TNT at the end of the game just to hear what the National guys were saying. They have won seven of their last 9. They've won 11 of their last 14 or something like that. And I'm getting pissed. And on top of that, I'm watching the Thunder, who are supposed to be one of the top teams out west, lose to Atlanta, lose to the Lakers. I'm watching the Raptors lose to the Nets or go to overtime with the Nets. I'm watching Houston
against the Celtics. Absolutely plummet.
I'm watching Houston lose to the Nets.
On the top NBA James Harden's 58 points.
Yeah, the NBA season, it just happens. When I look at this stretch, the fans that drive me nuts are Sixers fans are out there going, you have to come out and be 10-2 or 9-3. I'm telling you right now, if the Sixers just go 500, just go 6-6, and they've already started out with 1 win, so you only need 5 more to get there.
They've already stolen 1 on the road, and they play 7 at home of this 12 stretch.
If they can go 6-6 or 7-5, I am 100% good with it.
Absolutely.
And if they're competitive in these games.
Yes.
If when they go out to Golden State, if Golden State blows them out by 30, it is what Golden State does. I'm not going to worry too much about that. But we have to be a little more patient, understand the NBA season is a long season. It takes time. A lot of teams, there's on some nights, they just don't feel like playing their best. It's just the way it is. But I'm seeing good things the last 3 games, the last 3 wins for this team, and I'm hoping it can carry them forward.
Absolutely, and I think they had not been playing overly well. We kind of saw how they played against the Hawks, and the couple games before that, it didn't look great, and it didn't look like everything was too kosher there. You're getting, Joel Embiid playing through a little bit of soreness last night and still putting up 22 points and 14 boards. Jimmy Butler recognizing that, that was his time, that he needed to step up into the leading scorer role, scoring 27 points, really just kind of taking over the game. In one of the best defensive teams in the East, especially in the Pacers,
they dropped 120 on them.
And that's also a really deep bench that they have there. That we don't have.
That's the other thing. The Sixers, I'm telling you, I think have the worst bench in the league, and the bad teams have a better bench than the Sixers.
Yeah. So I just think that you're starting to see things click. You're starting to see it all sort of work out.
Are you on board with me? 6-6 is okay for you?
6-6 is good with me. If they can, I think they've already stolen 1 on the road, which I think is a great start.
Look, I think you need to win both against the Lakers, although you might have trouble out there.
Well, LeBron's probably going to be back.
It doesn't look like he's back until February.
Really? So yeah, you need to be.
You might get you might get the one here. He may not be back.
Well, they play here after they play out there.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I think the first game he won't be back.
They play Thunder, Rockets, Spurs, and then they go out west. They do
and the Lakers
Nuggets,
and the
Lakers, Kings,
they have to beat the
Warriors.
Lakers and the Kings. There's no excuse.
Yeah, so you got to win those games. The Nuggets are, maybe try to steal that one at home. If they can manage and use the home court to their advantage, there's no reason they shouldn't beat the Lakers without LeBron on that team.
Yeah.
And I think I'm good with 500. I would like to see them go a game or 2 above.
That'd be
just
nice.
Because I
to
think
me that would be extremely successful.
Because I think that gives them a really good bit of success.
If they're 7-5, 8-4 coming out of this, very successful.
I need to see them beat the Celtics at home.
I think that's the game everyone's gonna have circled.
I need to see them beat the Celtics at home. I also need to see them play better than they have against the Celtics at home. I said before when they lost to them on Christmas Day, I'd be really interested to see how that game goes. If it's played at the Wells Fargo Center, I think that's a big difference. I think some little things don't happen, but I'd be really interested to kind of see how that goes. I think with Jimmy starting to get integrated and the chemistry being there, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where it goes.
It's going to be fun basketball for a month.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun if Ben, Joel, and Jimmy all make the All-Star game. It's going to be a fun...
You're going to be so mad if Ben doesn't make it.
Just if Goran Dragic makes it.
No, you will be mad if Ben doesn't make it. I know you.
No, I won't be. Last year I was mad, but I don't.
By the way, you're not going to like this. This is really off topic, but Donovan Mitchell, I'm a fan of his now.
Okay, well we're not friends anymore.
Well, I have to tell you why though. He put out a tweet last night that said we need to start paying our teachers.
Oh yeah, okay, I can support that. I'll get on board with that. If my boyfriend wants to be a teacher, I can get on board with support that.
So here we are. Let's we're going to have to roll through our This Is Madness a little bit quicker this week, but you go ahead, start it up.
Okay, so my first problem is with Future. I love Future and I love his music. But I think he really what?
I don't think I even know a song he does. I'm old.
I just think that I really just feel like you need to get over it at this point. Russell Wilson is a better human than you are.
Russell Wilson ain't a man, apparently. He's the woman in the relationship, they say.
Let's just keep in mind, because she tells him what to do. Let's just remember that Russell Wilson is raising one of Future's children because he tells them that he doesn't have time for them, and that his kids one day will understand why he wasn't around and didn't have time for them.
Damn, Jess.
But it's true. He has openly said that in interviews, that one day his kids will understand why he wasn't around for them.
Shots fired,
Russell Wilson
Future.
is raising one of your children. But apparently that makes Russell Wilson less of a man than Future.
Okay. You got him. All right, I'm going to the MLB free agency. This is the dumbest free agency in all of professional sports. It is so friggin' stupid that there are over 120 free agents still unsigned, and spring training is less than a month away. 26 days till spring training begins. And there are 120 plus free agents unsigned. You have to fix this. This is absurd. This is ridiculous. That two guys and these agents can hold the rest of the Major League Baseball hostage is absolutely absurd. And it's pissing me off. And maybe it's pissing me off because I just want to see that the Phillies signed either Bryce Harper or Manny Machado. Okay, I'm done.
That was a good rant.
Thank you.
That was a really good one. I'm going to. Did you see this exchange? You saw some of it. You jumped in at one point. So.
Oh, I was heated. I was so.
You were heated. Okay, so first of all, I was insulted. Hardcore.
As you should have been.
At the beginning of this. So, I tweeted after the Cowboys-Rams game on Saturday, and I said, I can't imagine my team and my happiness being reliant on Dak Prescott. A tweet that got a lot of favorites because most people agree with that statement. Some person, I think it's a person, there are pictures of dogs, so I don't know if it's a person or not. Person responds and goes, I would take 10 years with Dak and trade in 4 NFC championships with 5 in a heartbeat. And I said, you trade 4 chances for a Super Bowl appearance for Dak? Dak is so painfully average, it's not even funny. If you think he's better than 5, clearly you don't remember the 11 years he was here very well. This guy responds and goes, there were a few responses.
This is the big one.
There were a couple. He said, I'm banking on making it to a Super Bowl and winning one. How do people not realize McNabb was a cancer? That's why Westbrook was so successful. He was a low-key star, which if you think Westbrook was a low-key star, you're stupid in and of itself.
Yes.
Low-key being the stupid part. He was a star, and that's very high-key.
There's also no such thing as a low-key star, but that's okay.
McNabb was a piece of bleep drunk that couldn't make a throw in crunch time.
He wasn't a drunk until after he.
It was
stopped
after.
playing. Give him a
It was
break.
after. Like, let's relax. So then he now puts a third response in there before I'd responded to any of them.
Is this
and
third
goes,
one the one that?
Yes.
Yeah, oh boy.
The third one goes, "Why are you even engaging me? Just because you have a nice body and a below 5 face doesn't mean you'll make it in the sports
Flag
world."
on the play. Flag on the
And
play.
I was like, that's messed up.
Flag on the play.
Because first of all,
Jamie Lynch came to your bet.
First of all,
Jamie
I've
Lynch.
made it further in the sports world than this dog, apparently.
The bro.
Second of all, so meanwhile, we're in the car, and Joe's like, "Jess, this is not the first time that someone said something like this to you. I can't jump in to every single one, because then I become that guy." And I'm
You're
like,
not doing things right if you're not being hated.
and I was like, "I'm not asking you to jump in, and I totally get what you're saying. That's fine. I'm not faulting you here." And I was like, "I'm just not even going to, answer. That's dumb." Well, 97.5's own Jamie Lynch jumped.
We got the bro on board.
Jumped to my defense.
We gotta get him back on the show.
I'm gonna have to.
We have to get him back on the show.
Jumped to my defense and goes, "Ooh, someone's mad online. Not a good look, bro." This guy goes, "What? Mad liberal?" And Jamie goes, "What language are you speaking?" And he said, "How did I come across as mad, and what did I say that wasn't true? Just because you're a crybaby liberal doesn't mean your opinion is right.
Guy was all over the place.
You must have been raised by a woman." And that's when I went, "Oh, this is what we're working with. Okay."
I think I just threw one little thing in there at that
So
point.
Jamie goes, "Okay, no way you can be a real person. I refuse to believe you're a real human." And I said, "Well, Jamie, his pick is a dog, so you might be onto something there." And Jamie said, "Can you bark twice if you're an insult that I'm not going to say on the show? Good boy."
Oh,
And I laughed so hard, it wasn't even funny. And, oh, they're here. The
yeah, that
children
means
are
that
here.
means the wrap up is coming.
And,
I got two things.
But then he went on and said something like, "Just because you have a cute face." And I'm like, "Well, which is it?
Yeah.
I would like to know."
Yeah, he's flipping it back and
You
forth
can't
now.
keep going.
That's nonsense, sir.
But-
Get it together
But
out
then,
there.
But then later, I tweeted what we were talking
They're gonna
about
run
Zach Ertz being needed to play a little bit of defense on that. He goes, "Zach Ertz plays offense," and I went, "He does? I've been wrong this whole time. It must have been my female brain."
Yes.
And he responded, "Well, if the shoe fits."
I
And
see.
I
I didn't see any of
I
that
left
stuff
it
after
there.
that point.
I left it there. Rob jumped in at one point and called him a jackass, I'm pretty sure.
I did. I had to go with the jackass
Of course.
comment. Which that shirt's coming.
It's coming.
We'll be getting that
It's
out.
coming.
All right. Before we finish up, I'm just going to rifle off these three that I have.
Go ahead.
Brett Favre, shut up. You were an overrated as a player. You're an awful analyst. Don't tell me that you think Foles is better than Wentz. No one cares what you say. You're a jackass. That's one.
Hey!
We have a dog. Number two. Wow. Number two, Kyrie Irving. I told you so. I told you were going to apologize to LeBron Bron.
That made me so
You're a
happy.
jackass. Number
You sound
three,
bad.
Sixers fans. You need to be better. There is no reason to boo Jared Bayless like he was a former All-Star. That was horrendous. I felt so
funny.
bad for that guy.
I did feel bad.
Awful.
I will say I didn't boo. I did cry a little bit. There was a tear.
Get out of here.
We drank a little bit before the game, so there was a tear when the Dario and Rocco videos came on. It was very sweet. I did not participate in the booing of Jared Bayless. I did feel bad by the end. I was like, I
It
almost.
was ridiculous.
It
Every
was
time he
a
touched the
lot.
ball, they
It was
gave him
excessive.
the Kobe Bryant treatment. Awful.
It was
awful.
unfortunate.
Awful. All right, that's our show. Thank you very much. We might be back in studio next week. We're going to figure it out.
We're gonna try.
ProSportsNotes.com is who we're brought to you by, powered by WildfireRadio.com. Check out her articles not only on Pro Sports Notes, but she's writing for Wildfire now.
Not just
Okay.
Eagles
She's
anymore.
going to bring me with her wherever she goes. She just doesn't know it yet. All right. We will see you guys next week. Embrace the madness. Have a good night.